So I wanted to go into my worst hire, and I'll go last, but I wanted to go into this section understanding that it seems bad maybe, but it might turn out to be awesome. And I'm very curious about yours here specifically, Dave. So why don't you get started?
Mm-hmm. Well, spoiler alert, if you're watching on YouTube, it's currently on the screen.
Yes. So listen, I point to Trent Dilfer at UAB. Trent Dilfer, probably a very good football mind. I don't particularly have a relationship with him. Pulled out of it's not every day you can go to the Nashville high school ranks and find a G5 head coach. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what this is about for me is, for one, you have a UAB program that's a very proud program. There's a lot of expectations there. You got to compete for titles there. You can't just go 7-5 and people are going to be happy. You better be trying to win some titles. Secondly, he has never been on a college staff, unless I'm mistaken, Chris. I believe you went to Birmingham. I don't believe that is the case. Now, we've seen a lot of guys go from high school and eventually become big-time head coaches. Gus Malzahn, I covered a million years ago from a high school paper. Joey McGuire at Texas Tech is one of those guys that's had some success. I suspect will have a lot more success shortly. We've seen it before. But the issue is that when you see it, you usually see them go on a staff for a while in a variety of roles, and sort of see how the operation works. Because a college football head coach, it's not about coaching that much football. There is an element of that, but you're a psychologist. But more than that, you're a Fortune 500 CEO. They're just gigantic operations, and less so at UAB than at, say, Alabama. But there's still a lot of moving parts, and being able to delegate and figure out all those things. Every coach I've ever talked to that's a first-time head coach is like, I thought I'd be spending more time coaching football. So regardless of what Trent Dilfer knows about football is sort of secondary. I'm not sure that you know how to successfully run a program when you're, replacing a guy in Bill Clark who runs a program about as good as anybody, and had enjoyed a lot of success there. So ultimately, that's going to be a situation where you got to have a steep learning curve in a place that's not that patient. So I don't buy it.
Can I punch back at him real quick, Chris?
Go ahead. I'll talk about my trip to Birmingham. Yeah, go
ahead. But before you go into that, I wanted to say, because you are like our Deion Sanders expert, and I wonder, and I felt like while you were talking about why you have questions about him is probably the reason why I would like that hire the most. If you're looking for a CEO type person that knows how to delegate, understands football, and has a background building a high school program that I visited in Nashville and spent some time with that, and it was basically like a MAC program. I mean, the facilities at Lipscomb and all the things they built there and the way that they went about winning, I mean, might not have been the most popular thing in the Nashville community because of how they built their roster, but he built a program already. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like building a high school program is the same thing as building a college program, but if you have some belief, and we're going to get into this later on in the show, that Deion Sanders is going to work because of his ability to attract and his name recognition and all the CEO type things that he's going to have to do there. And granted, I understand it's different. Wouldn't a recognizable Super Bowl champion that's built a high school program, understands football, has relationships with people in the Elite 11, and kind of like makes you think, hey, what's going on at UAB, enough to get Chris to go on an airplane and visit it there? Like, isn't that exactly the type of shot on the arm that could be an absolute grand slam home run if he figures it out?
Did UAB need a shot in the arm? I don't think
so. Well, that's a fair question. I'm guessing because to me, the biggest comparison for Trent Dilfer's hire is Deion.
Yes.
But it's Deion going to Jackson State. It's not Deion going to Colorado, and Trent Dilfer, having been there, they have beefed up the recruiting staff in a way they have not done before. He took less money. They put more money into it, drastically expanded that. So like recruiting is a major focus of that. Now, unlike Deion, he's not going to get the number one overall recruit to come to UAB. He's probably not going to get an Elite 11 quarterback to come to Birmingham. And that's where it's a little bit different than Deion, because I don't think he's going to be able to recruit at that level. My biggest question, to the point Ubbin said, which is you're a CEO type of coach. His staff is very inexperienced. There is almost no FBS experience on this staff. He brought his defense coordinator from Lipscomb High School, Alex Mortensen, who's been an analyst at Alabama forever. son of Chris Mortensen, is the offensive coordinator. And they have a couple other guys who are analysts at South Carolina, at Ohio State, that come over. So that's my bigger question, is not Dilfer himself, because I went there and like he has a plan. He knows what he's doing. Is it going to work? I don't know. But he has a plan and a vision of what to do. My biggest question is, can the staff he put together with so little FBS experience get the most out of that? That we don't know.
Well, the thing that I like about it is the ceiling. Like if things all line up, I think the ceiling is really high. So
I agree.
Like for it to be the
Dilfer
worst
or is
hire,
that UAB? Because you're in a place that cares. You're in a place that cares deep about college football. Birmingham might as well be the college football capital of the world.
But you don't think that UAB ceiling's bigger with Dilfer at the helm than it would be if they hired some other coach that no one's ever heard of? What if they got?
Then if they had Tom Herman or something? No, I don't think so. No.
Yeah.
I'll say this from a media perspective. I'm surprised I'm the only one. I think me and Dennis Dodd were the only ones who went to Birmingham to see him. I'm kind of surprised more people did, because he's a big media guy. Great talker. He'll charm your ass off. Like really engaging guy to be with. I'm kind of surprised nobody else has gone by there as well. But
of the 24 names, the 24 names on the list, like that jumps out of you as the worst. Like it's just kind of surprising to me.
I think I spent enough time. I spent enough time in the state of Texas and seen so many coaches run gigantic programs or very good coaches, and nobody hired them. Even though they might not have the celebrity factor of Dilfer, I think what they were doing in Texas, where it's incredibly difficult. Everyone's got these big operations. We've had, whether it be, Chad Morris, I think he went straight to being the OC at Clemson from Allen, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
Did I skip a step there? Was he at Highland Park? Either way, he went from the high school ranks, into there, and obviously an X's and O's guy. If this thing worked, I think you'd see it more often and at bigger places. Nashville is a growing market for college football, for high school football. It's changed a lot in the last 20 years. It's not Texas. It's not California. It's not Florida, where the creme de la creme of coaches are coming out of there, and that's just not what we've seen.